America, we stand for freedom. Though freedom is never really free, we yearn and strive for government, protecting our liberty.
I'm a Navy veteran. I served from 1962 to 1970. My primary duty station was USS Whale, SSN 638, where I was a nuclear power plant operator on the boat. And I tell everybody, my Navy career was, like many people that had a career in the service, it was relatively routine. We didn't do anything exciting. We didn't do anything, heroic or anything like that. We just did our job. But one of the most beautiful things I will share with everybody, one of the most beautiful things I ever saw in my life was when we looked at the Arctic ice through the periscope as we went to the North Pole in 1969. That is the absolutely most gorgeous thing you'll ever see in your life. The sun refracting through all the water, okay? So that's who I am, and the reason I held this forum is I just want to have a chance for the veterans in the area to come out, ask questions, see if they have any concerns, and see how we can address them. And I figured that the Secretary of Veterans Services would probably be the best person to answer those questions.
So good evening. A good full house here tonight. And just wanted to say to the Secretary that he knows this, and I say this everywhere I go when he's in attendance, that we always have, our veterans are very active in the community. So thanks, Frank, for setting this up. I can tell you the Secretary is on top of everything. Our Secretary of Veteran Affairs, Secretary Francisco Urena.
Thank you and good evening. First of all, let me thank all of our veterans who are here. And how many family members of veterans do we have? Any show of hands of just family members? Excellent. So first of all, let me thank our family members who are among us. Listen, here in Massachusetts, we're very proud of our veterans, but we know that when our families and their loved ones have served our nation, that our families too have sacrificed. And in a sense, they continue to be drafted into the aspect of supporting the service of our family members. And so to that, I thank you. So on behalf of Governor Charlie Baker, Lieutenant Governor Polito, and 365,000 veterans that call Massachusetts home, it is a great privilege and honor to lead your Department of Veteran Services, to lead and work with our veteran service officers such as Rick Voiture, who is leading not only Leominster, but Lancaster and now Sterling as well as the district. And it's not by coincidence. I mean, these things come together, and you have great representation here, but great advocates, such as Mayor Mazzarelli, who is so advocate into putting efforts and aspects of coordinating with veterans and giving more to our veterans and not just stating to the status quo. It is not by coincidence that you walk into this meticulous room with walls of honor, honoring our veterans who have served, who have sacrificed, who we want to ensure that we continue the sense of advocacy. And so to that, Rick and Mayor, thank you so very much for the great support that you all provide here to this aspect. Your Department of Veteran Services has been very busy over the last year and a half now. We have been putting a lot of focus into the aspect of training and certification of your veteran service officers, ensuring that when a veteran or a veteran family or somebody just asking a question walks into Leominster, Lawrence, Lowell, or any other city across this great Commonwealth, they get the same answer, the same level of service, and the same level of respect which our veterans deserve. So that is first and foremost very important to me. Any of you all know my background. I started in Lawrence as a veteran service officer. When I came home in 2006, started volunteering in the office, which led to the job 6 months later, which led to the aspect of advocating for families, growing the number of veterans, not just for the sense of growing them, but building the awareness, focusing on outreach. Led me to go to the city of Boston and lead the city of Boston for 4.5 years under Mayor Menino and Mayor Walsh. the aspect of one of your biggest cities and the biggest population concentration of veterans in any one spot. Putting a lot of focus also into student veterans, veterans who are returning and making use of their GI Bill. A GI Bill is very comparable to what the World War II generations had many years ago, and that it quickly, as cost of education dwindled and the attention to veterans also changed, that benefit quickly changed. But now we're so very proud that it has been restored in a sense, giving cost of living allowance to those recent generation of veterans, so that they don't find themselves challenged or struggling. So I know we have a couple of other VSOs in the audience. I definitely want to say hello and recognize you all for all the great work that you all do. But tonight is about you all. I want to open up the floor. This is a town hall, and I thank the great city of Leominster for setting this up. I'm so impressed with the attendance, and I'm always impressed with the aspect of the quality of veterans that Leominster has, and now this great district has, because they pay attention. They are attentive to the aspect of outreach. They are attentive to the aspect of being in the know. And in that same thought, as we think about our families, I also think about our Gold Star families. Gold Star families such as the Roberge family who lives here, among many other Gold Star families, but more importantly the Roberge family, who when the city proposed a park for them, they said that was not enough, and they wanted to create a memorial for all service members who have died in Iraq and Afghanistan since 2001. And I'm so very proud that this great city has been host to the Iraq and Afghanistan War Memorial with portraits, many like what you see here, of those heroes who have died in the line of duty. So to that I thank you, and I want to open the floor to you and for any questions or comments that you may have. No, not all at once.
One of the questions I want to ask is, a lot of veterans struggle to stay in their family home. And, taxes creep up, the cost of energy goes up, even though the cost of oil is dropped, it still maintains a certain level. Insurance, they're all this upkeep, and they struggle with it. Is there any other programs that we have an exemption, and there's certainly, is there anything on the radar screen that would help veterans and spouses and living spouses to maintain that home and be able to stay in it?
Rick, you got your hands in the air. You want a lifeline here?
Actually, Mr. Mayor, I'm glad you asked. Yes, we do. It's called Chapter 115. We probably have about 95 veterans or widows that are on that program. The downside is you can't have any money. So you got to have less than $5,000 in the bank if you're a widow or a veteran. And if you're married, you have to have less than $9,800 in the bank. But if you are a homeowner and you're having trouble deciding between food and medicine, come see us. That's what we do. We can take care of that. Absolutely. If you have money in the bank, there's nothing we can do about that until you spend your money. After you spend your money, and I can help with that, after we spend your money, we can start then paying. We pay medications, we pay, if somebody has a water pipe break from the street, you know how the pipe breaks from the street to the road, it's nobody's responsibility, it's not yours, it's not the city's, it's kind of no man's land, and if you didn't buy the insurance, that's like a $3,000 hit. We can help you with that. Those are the things we can do. But it all is based on income and assets. So if you have money in the bank, you got to spend your money first. But if you don't have money in the bank, and what's happening is people are running out of money. You're too healthy. You're eating bran or whatever it is. That's right. So because you're so healthy and you're living so much longer, you're running out of money. Come see us. That's what we can do. So, and it's very private. Nobody will know your business. You know what I mean? We have you come in here, we close the door, and we go through your money. Remember what I said, the VA and the IRS are buddies. so we'll know. But it's a great program to keep you in the house. Another thing too, a lot of people don't know, you can sell your house when your house is too much and move into public housing. And if you're a veteran, there's probably a 30-day wait to get into public housing, opposed to a 6-month, an 8-month, 2-year wait. Veterans in Massachusetts go right to the top of the list, and widows go right to the top of the list, especially in your community. So that's a big thing too. And chances are the house is too big to maintain anyways. So those are some options too, but if you're ever in doubt, even if you think you have too much money, come see it.
So we are very proud of our Chapter 115 program. It's something that it is very much different in Massachusetts from any other state. This financial program managed by all of our veteran service officers. That is their role in each city and town, community and district, to be able to be the person in the know, to be able to talk to our veterans in a private setting and give them the guidance that they need. Keeping veterans at home, it is something that we are so very entrusted with, and we want to make sure that people stay in their homes for as long as they can, for as long as they are able to. And programs such as the Financial Assistance Chapter 115, it is one of the, again, very unique to Massachusetts. So when you're talking to your relatives outside of Mass, they may be asking, hey, what's this Chapter 115 I hear about? Trust me, we get that, because being such close to the New Hampshire border, sometimes you hear about many other veterans saying, hey, where's that aspect? And we keep in rapport with many of our border towns for that sense of our uniqueness. We also want to make sure that all of our veterans, all those who have served overseas, and especially in combat, qualify or apply for their welcome home bonus. Whether you served in World War II, in Vietnam, Korea, or the most recent Iraq and Afghanistan. And even peace times and some of those times in between. The legislature has set aside sometimes $200, $300, $400, depending on what era you have served in. And that money, it remains in trust. And so you know if you apply for it, your veteran service officer could also assist you in identifying if you could qualify for it. Also, any veterans who are 100% service connected, we do have an annuity for you veterans, which is also transferred to your family when the time your spouses, when you're no longer among us, should it be a service-connected disability or a service-connected relation that kind of was the cause. So that is another aspect that you want to look into, the aspect of our annuities, which is a program for you here in the Commonwealth, as well as our Gold Star families, same thing. It's $1,000 every 6 months, and that too is a benefit that you all have earned, and the legislature has placed here collectively. Over the last year, obviously just last May, there has been a very comprehensive bill that came in. It's about 21 points that was added onto that bill, and that was part of the Valor Act. It made changes to things as veterans could now, if you're service connected to 100%, sometimes that cost, that what earnings you came in were considered too high for public housing. So we capped that earnings no more than $1,500 so that a veteran who may be service connected to 100% can qualify for public housing, because they may need the aspect of that community, the aspect of those elevators, the aspect of that off-street parking, and a few other aspects were also added to that to ensure that it was an enhancement. And we're always looking to close the net, the aspect of safety net, or the aspect of just advocating for our veterans in any way we can. So I took a question from the mayor. He tried to trump me, so he tried to take the prize that he was going to give to whoever tried to trump me. But I'm glad that we have our qualified VSOs here to be able to advocate. Again, that's the same knowledge that every veteran service officer has in every community, city, and town. Next question. Yes, sir.
If I can't get into a VA hospital because of lack of beds, can I go to the local hospital?
So it's not automatic. So the question is, what happens if I can't get into the VA hospital? So don't just assume that the VA hospital is over capacity. I think, show of hands, how many people here are members of the VA or participate? How many think the VA is not for them? Because there is some folks that feel that what I heard in the news, what has been happening out in California, and that's happening. There's no mistaking. But here in Massachusetts, we have great relationships with the VA. We have 3 major VA healthcare systems, starting with Northampton out in Western Mass, Worcester, which is part of the same district, Bedford, which kind of is the catch area for Leominster and this area here, as well as Boston, and goes down into Brockton and Bedford and the rest. And so don't be hesitant to inquire. Now, the question is, what happens if I can't get into the VA? There is a program with the VA. If you can't get an appointment within 30 days, you can see a private practitioner of their choice, so they kind of make a referral to somebody within the area. But the most important thing about that program, and that's the Choice Act, is to ensure that you call the VA and they give you that referral, that kind of pass to go to your local doctor or hospital or practitioner. Don't just walk into the local practitioner, because I promise you, you're going to get a bill. And the VA is not going to say, oh, we didn't approve that. So you want to have that pre-approval process first. But that's my recommendation. But do inquire with the VA. It is a great option. And I personally, I have, as a public servant, I could go to any facility, but I choose to go to the VA because I definitely believe in what we have here and want to stay in touch with our veterans and solve any issues while I'm there. So, next question? Yes?
Speaking of annuities, you say if the veteran passes, the spouse will still get the annuity?
If the veteran passes of a service-connected disability,
Right.
yes. And we consider those spouses Gold Star families for that sense. It's one of the requirements. I say that because just recently we sent 2,554 letters. Those are some of our annuitants and our Gold Star families in Massachusetts. And so we sent out these letters to invite them to be part of the Gold Star Families Memorial, which we're dedicating Sunday in Fall River. But what I get to is the aspect of if somebody passes of a service-connected disability, they're considered Gold Star families, and therefore, that's why the benefit is transferred over to them. Next question. Yes?
Sir, Department of Defense USA for military families annually comes out with a 10-item hit list that they'd like to see states take action on. In the past, Massachusetts has done fairly well in this area, and the Dollar Act 1 and 2 took care of about 4 of those items. This current year, Massachusetts lags behind in 5 of the 10 items. Do you have any idea where we're going to go with these things?
Definitely like to follow up with you on that. I didn't know that there was an aspect. I know that one of the big aspects that has been pushed is to not privatize the VA, and we are very supportive of that, because not only...
Some of these items are family and child advocacy, employment protections during state-sponsored activation. They're not only for active duty and active duty families, but also for Guard and Reserve and their families.
Yeah, we are not all, so that 21-point bill that was passed, that was just not law, we incorporated that in the effort of some of those closing the gap, but many stayed on the table, and so I know that they're still being entertained, and as the session goes into effect in the next upcoming months, they'll be taking up that helm. So I would bring those up to your state representatives and your state senators, because they are the ones that kind of vet these benefits and laws and see how they best fit within Massachusetts. We too kind of provide a sense of advocacy, but I would also have that conversation with your VSOs, because the MVSOA, which is a Massachusetts Veteran Service Officers Association, influences a lot of those aspects of our legislators to be able to work together to find these common issues and how we could be best entertaining them here in Massachusetts. But thank you for that. Thank you. Next. Yes, ma'am.
Question about, my uncle died in the Second World War. My grandmother was a Gold Star mother. When was that Gold Star benefit of 1,000? When was that passed? When was that given? When was that started? Gold Star family?
Sure. It's the annuities for Gold Star families. I can't tell you the specific year, but it is something that is not an automatic benefit, so that they would have to apply for it. And it's
What
right.
about, they're not alive, so what about?
So they're not retroactive, if that's the question.
Oh, it's not
Yes. No. No, it is a state benefit. It is not, again, it's not an entitlement per se like other benefits federally. And so that is why we do these outreaches. That is why we have these conversations. That is why we invite folks to come to our town halls to let them know about these best benefits and best practices that are available. Because there's no benefit to us to keep them as best kept secret. We really want to ensure that we share them with the community and benefit our veterans and give them that better quality of life.
My concern is, do you ever serve veterans in shared living agencies?
I'm sorry?
Do you serve veterans in shared living agency?
Share.
Like a mentor and stuff?
I'm sorry. I'll step closer so I can hear. And
Oh, so she's talking about mentor programs, but there are people in here that are involved, veterans that are involved in going to the VA,
I was
that
wondering if they serve.
mentor programs.
Wondering if they have.
Yes, they do, I mean, all the time.
So the question, if I understand it correctly, do we serve veterans in mentor capacity?
Are veterans in any mentorship programs?
Absolutely. So cities and towns have an opportunity that we could have an aspect also of volunteer programs, and we leave that to the discretion of cities and towns to see how they could best incorporate as a network. It is, we also welcome, I know it's a little bit of a haul from here to places like Chelsea and our soldiers' homes, but our soldiers' homes, one of two soldiers' homes that we operate in the state, also have an opportunity for mentors and.
I just want to let you know there are one in Boston, but the one, if anyone's a veteran in Leominster, there is one in Worcester. If you want more information, I'll talk to you.
Perfect. Oh, that'd be great.
Talk to Mary.
Sure, that'd be great. Thank you. Sir.
Just one final thing for me and my wife. I want to thank the VA and Veteran Services for everything we have. They have been tremendous to me in any case. Hernias, ruptures, hysterectomy, I had one. Top out. I have had tremendous help from these services because of them, because of you people.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much.
I've done more than your share than I can ask for more. All I got to do now is to hold, put my blind eye on myself, take notes.
Excellent.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah, drop mic.
You
Yeah.
make sure you go right home too. Yeah. You go parking on one.
Any other questions? Sir.
I use Fishburne, Bedford, Jamaica Plain, and West Rochester. Excellent service, excellent.
That same consensus. So I'm getting a lot of aspect of good testimony from what veterans have received when it comes to care, whether it's local VA clinics, whether it's our VA hospitals, whether it's our vet centers. Very many veterans every day have this same type of rapport with our office, sharing these best practices. And for that said, there are many veterans that I come across. I was just in Western Mass not too long ago, and there was a veteran who said, "Oh, I'm not going to go to the VA because I heard that they do this, this, and this." And I said, "Have you given it a chance?" And he says, "Well, no, because that's what I heard." And so there is, for what you hear on TV and what you hear in the news, there's not the aspect of what we have locally here in Massachusetts. And it's not by chance. We work on these relationships. We have points of contact with the VA, so that when somebody walks into your local veteran service officer, which is, again, very unique to Massachusetts, to have a veteran service officer in every city and town. Most states have probably 1 or 2 people per county. Imagine how tough that would be. And if you don't have a hard time imagining that, just travel a couple of miles north into New Hampshire, because that's the model that they have, and that's the model the rest of the country has. 1 person for Rockingham County, 1 person for the Lakes County. It is very challenging, but it's not what we have here in Massachusetts. So we try to work at these relationships so that when a veteran has an aspect, a challenge at the VA or a bad aspect of relationships, we fix those. We make a call and we get to them. Can we solve every single issue? Can I solve the aspect of you want your eyeglasses without a doctor's exam? We kind of have to follow the law, follow the regulations, but the aspect of getting seen within 30 days, are things that we need to solve. The aspect of receiving the quality care, and if you don't get the respect that you deserve, those are the types of things that we could definitely make a big impact. And getting you into the door of the VA, sometimes that is a big disconnect that many veterans receive. So, and let me conclude with this. I know we have some Korean and Vietnam veterans in here. You did not receive the welcome home that your previous generations of veterans received. You definitely did not receive the welcome home that you created for future generations of veterans to receive. So today, let me give a round of applause to our Vietnam veterans. For your service to our country. And I thank you once again for your opportunity to allowing me to join you all. And once again, thank you to your veteran service officer. His dedication, commitment to this great city, and now to our neighboring towns, to be able to form a district, to be able to do more for veterans who otherwise wouldn't have that sense of outreach and service and commitment. So, I have one more question. Sir, yes.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about it. For the fact they have the dogs, the service dogs, primarily the ones for the PTSD dogs. What is the status on VA for accepting them and helping out with the medical aspect for the service dogs with VA?
I know that's something that's being discussed. It is, as you know, it's a costly aspect, so it's trying to find the right fit, how we can afford it. Not we, but more the federal government, because as a matter of fact, just right next door in Sterling, there's a great facility, Needs, that has.
That's where I got it from.
And I kind of recognize the best. So Needs is a phenomenal opportunity for veterans and sometimes underutilized, and it's more utilized on the private, the everyday citizen who may have a disability or a hearing loss. They could take part of that, but we're working on it. As you know, that the cost of those service dogs, $10,000, $12,000, if you're lucky to just get one, because you have to be placed in a queue and a waiting list and a right fit of the need. But it is a discussion. And the other aspect is the access of having these dogs not be a liability when they're there. Obviously, Needs is one training standard. Then there are many other training standards that may not be to the same part as Needs as a service dog. Some folks have companion dogs. Some folks just have a purse dog. And so how do you find the right fit to be able to certify? Obviously, I recognize the best, but what happens to other service dogs, and veterans may have the same sense of need to have them with them.
Right, I know like the VA, they do help out the service dogs that, like for somebody that can't pick the dogs that help pick up stuff, or the ones with back problems or something like that, but like the ones with the PTSD, they help out with the medical aspects for the dogs.
Sure.
But as of right now, I know that the VA doesn't recognize the dogs with PTSD, but I know that there was a lot of talk about that. Do you know what the status is on that yet?
It still is being debated again, and that goes to the aspect of our federal bill.
Okay.
And so I would talk to your congresswoman.
What's that?
I would talk to your congressperson. Congressman could definitely advocate for that sense. And we're having those same conversations from an aspect of just relationships. But I think it's worthwhile. And obviously, you see the impact and the difference that it makes in your lives, especially post-traumatic stress, and what that does in the lives of many of our veterans is great enhancement, it's a great tool. Well, once again, thank you so very much, and thank you for your service and your sacrifice. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much for attending tonight. It was a great session. I would be remiss if I didn't promote the veterans organizations here in Leominster. We have some great veterans, Vietnam veterans, and vets, DAV, etc. There's matters on the table if you're considering looking at a veteran organization. Please help yourself.
America, we stand for freedom. Though freedom is never really free, we yearn and strive for government, protecting our liberty.